Perfect.
Okay. All right. So this morning, I'm actually really excited about this conversation because I know it's a conversation that for us as an organization, we've been talking about with many people. So for those of you, this is your first time joining us. That was actually part of our announcement this morning. I don't know if anybody heard what Todd was saying this morning, is we actually are moving from Palm Beach Tech Association to Tech Hub South Florida. Our mission and vision is to build South Florida into a tech hub. About 6-7 months ago, with our 5th year anniversary last year, we did announce that we were going to be moving to supporting the region as a whole, so all of South Florida. And now, just yesterday, it was actually officially announced that the new name will be Tech Hub South Florida to match our mission and vision. So this community coffee, or this event, is a bi-monthly community gathering. We always talk about different hot topics, different discussions around a way to connect and learn from local businesses, leaders, partners, and continuing to build our ecosystem at what drives us here in the region. This event, of course, is presented by Tech Hub South Florida. We're a nonprofit dedicated to building South Florida into a tech hub. My name is Nikki Cabus. I'm the VP of Development, and my job is basically helping businesses, supporting startups, and connecting talent. Our discussion this morning is our messaging around South Florida's tech and startup hub. And I want to start out, because I don't want to forget him at all. They've been great partners for us and great sponsors, is the South Florida Business and Wealth magazine. So if I could have Mark, their market director, give us a couple minutes here on why they, of course, are South Florida Business and Wealth and not Boca Business and Wealth or Miami, and just kind of why they decided to be regional and what they've seen in South Florida here, that they're of course supportive of the region and as a whole. So if Mark, if you'd like to take it away for a couple minutes.
Absolutely. Good morning, and thank you, Nikki. South Florida Business and Wealth, as the leading business publication for the South Florida marketplace, we're pleased to be a sponsor of today's event. And just to tell you a little bit more about who we are, we talk monthly to C-suite and business leaders throughout South Florida, Dade, Broward, and of course Palm Beach County. And we're a big supporter of the South Florida technology community. And not only do we produce a monthly magazine, but we do complement it with a robust portfolio of other assets, again, in support of the business community in general, as well as the tech community specifically. We've got a newsletter, e-newsletter that comes out 3 to 4 times a week, as well as a quarterly webinar called Digital South Florida, again, focusing on technology in South Florida. We about a year ago started these virtual panel discussions on a monthly basis, where we talk about topics ranging from cybersecurity to digital transformation, as well as a portfolio of social media and digital services ranging from LinkedIn programs and Facebook to geofencing. So, we're clearly big supporters of the tech community, and I encourage anyone on the call today to reach out to us with press releases about news, new developments, mergers, acquisitions, new hirings, anything of that nature, and we're happy to support. And again, thanks for having us today.
Of course. Thank you so much, Mark. Really appreciate you guys' support. And I want to really quickly just highlight Beth Wagmeister. She's the one this morning that you can see is doing our ASL interpretation. So thank you so much, Beth. We are trying as an organization to educate ourselves and be more inclusive. So of course that does include the deaf and hard of hearing community. I know we've got a few folks on this morning, so thank you so much. So I would actually like to start, if we can have each of our panelists just introduce yourselves. I'm going to run through who we have here, and then I'll give you a couple minutes to kind of tell us a little bit about yourself. So we've got the Senior VP of Business Development of the Greater Fort Lauderdale Alliance and the co-chair at TechGateway, David Coddington, Mayor of Miami-Dade, Mayor Daniella Levine Cava, the Mayor of City of Fort Lauderdale, Mayor Trantalis, Vice Mayor of Broward County, Vice Mayor Udine, and the Mayor of City of Boca Raton, Mayor Scott Singer. So I'm going to go just with whoever's first on my screen. So I've got Vice Mayor Udine, if you'd like to start out and introduce yourself.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you.
Uh-oh, did he get stuck? All right, we'll come back to him. I've got next on my screen, Mayor Singer.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Nikki. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Mayor Scott Singer of the city of Boca Raton.
Different potential rows. and trying to move the tech gateway forward to South.
I still can't hear him. Mayor Udine, I don't know if you can hear me right now, but you're cutting in and out quite a bit. So I'm gonna move on to Mayor Scott Singer, and then we'll try to come back to you, hopefully, if you've got a better connection in a minute here.
All right, good morning. I'm Mayor Scott Singer of the city of Boca Raton. Thanks for having us here. Thanks for having all of us. I'm very excited to be part of this regional effort. I think the regional approach is what's going to further propel all of South Florida further. We've had a lot of successes, but we've never worked together more regionally than we have over the past year, not just in combating COVID, but now focused on our recovery and how we grow the tech space in not just Boca Raton, but all of South Florida. Boca is a wonderful city, 100,000 people, but a business strength well above, we punch above our weight. Tech is in our core, it's in our blood. We're the birthplace of the IBM personal computer. And IBM had its main technology development campus here from the 1960s to the 1990s. That created an ecosystem which brought a lot of wealth, venture capital, private equity, and other financial investment to go along with that tech. Even though IBM left, the spirit of tech and innovation remains, and so does that capital base to draw from. We partner with FAU. We've got a lot of thriving tech companies, from Modernizing Medicine to TouchSuite to Silver Logic. So a lot of great things happening in our city, and excited to be part of what that means for the region.
Thank you so much, Mayor. I've got next, David.
Good morning, everybody. Nikki, thank you very much for inviting me to participate along with the mayors. Very honored to be able to do that. So as Nikki said, I'm the SVP of Business Development for the Greater Fort Lauderdale Alliance, which is the principal economic development organization for all of Broward County. Our counterparts in Miami, the Beacon Council, and then in Palm Beach, the Palm Beach Business Development Board. Tech is a target industry for us all, for the state. We're number 3 in the country in reference to tech jobs and so forth. It's over $70 billion impact for statewide. About 1/3 of that comes out of South Florida alone. So tech is a massive piece for what we focus on and attracting and retaining those companies here. So happy to be participating today. Thank you.
Of course, thank you, David. And next, I believe we had Mayor Cava on.
Actually, it looks like her Wi-Fi
off.
just cut out a minute ago.
We're having some technical issues this morning.
we are. So actually, Nikki, well, I'll try and vamp here for a minute here, see if we can get the, Mayor Udine and Mayor Cava back on. But really quick,
I'm back on. I just want to say this is Mayor Cava. I'm on by phone.
Perfect.
Just in case. Okay, very good.
Yeah, Mayor Cava, if you wanted to take a second and just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you.
Yes, thank you. First of all, I'm thrilled to be on this call on the momentous day in which you announced your South Florida new brand. Happy to be part of it and to be with my colleagues here. So I'm a lawyer and a social worker by training. I'm a 40-year resident of Miami-Dade County. I worked in the public sector legal services of Greater Miami, ran the foster care program for the state, and eventually started a nonprofit now called Catalyst Miami that I ran for 18 years, and ran for office 7 years ago as county commissioner, was reelected, and now, of course, the first woman mayor of Miami-Dade County. I am passionate about the economy, environment, and equity. And I think this conversation is a really wonderful opportunity for us all. Thank you.
Of course, thank you so much. And Mayor Udine, or I'm sorry, Vice Mayor Udine, I keep doing that. I think, were you able to hop back on here?
Yeah, I'm back on, but I'm having some tech things. Can you hear me?
We can at least hear you, yeah.
Okay, so I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Vice Mayor Michael Udine from Broward County. I've been spending the last few months trying to continue with the regional approach to attracting business in and tech reloads and fintech startups. and the like in South Florida. I've probably been on 3 or 4 calls per day of different companies looking to come down here throughout the entire region. And I've been trying to explain and point out to the different companies looking to come down here that it's not just the city of Miami, it's a region, it's a regional approach. A lot of the articles that I see from Refresh Miami and from the different publications that are out there talk about a company that's moving to quote unquote Miami, and it's really somebody that's in Plantation or Miramar or Boca or wherever. And I just think that it's important that we work as a region to tout what's best for the entire tech gateway of South Florida.
Thank you so much, Mike, Vice Mayor. And that's actually because of our discussion that you had with us, that was actually kind of the idea around bringing everybody together for this call, because that's something, that, we've had a tech hub in South Florida here for years and years, going back, as far as to having IBM, in the 80s here. And it's just, I think with so much of the new momentum around Miami and the startup and the tech scene, it's been great for us as a region, but that's really why we want to have this discussion around how we can pull together all the regional partners and really start to do better around changing our branding, our messaging to be more regional and South Florida focused. So I want to, we've got about 45 minutes left. So just for sake of time, I want to go directly into the questions here. I wanted to start with David, actually. I wanted to start with you because, South Florida Tech Gateway is an initiative that spun from the Greater Fort Lauderdale Alliance. And, you guys are solely based in Broward. So can you tell us a little bit about why you decided to do that and why you wanted to focus regionally, even though you guys were based in Broward County?
Sure, thank you. So this really, this goes back 9 years or so. The reality, when we looked at the tech piece, let me just step back and say why. So
Great little
when I started the Alliance, I would hear companies say there's no talent here. And then I would hear companies say, talent would say there aren't enough companies here. Companies would say there's not enough talent here. And I'd be like, well, I don't understand that. Look at all the things that have happened in South Florida. So I changed the wording a little bit, and instead of trying to build it into a tech hub, my thought and what we propose is that it's been a tech hub for decades, going back to, as Mayor said, about IBM. I've got a wonderful article from 1967 that talks about IBM, talking about the importance of the relationship to FAU. So you're going back in the late 60s, early 70s, and then you obviously have Motorola with about 7,000 people between Plantation and Delray. So, and then you look at the Napa of the Americas, and there's just so much that has happened in South Florida. So if we focus just on Broward County, how do I not talk about what happens up in Palm Beach and Boca? How do I not talk about highway technology to Scott Adams when he was doing work down in Miami-Dade, or the Napa of the Americas? So it was really a way to try and connect it, and a great example of working regionally together and how we're stronger together than just focusing on Fort Lauderdale or Greater Fort Lauderdale or Miami or just Palm Beach, is when all 3 economic development organizations, the Beacon Council, the BDB, and the Alliance, when the Amazon HQ2 piece came out, right from the get-go, right from the first day, it was as a region. We would have never, Miami would not have won it on their own, nor would we, nor would have Palm Beach, because we were competing against other regions. And so when you take the 6 million plus people and all the universities and all the talent and all the companies, how do we not see that that's a stronger brand together? Admittedly, Miami is a super strong brand, but let's not argue about, figure out how to leverage these things together as a region, as a community. So that's what we did with the South Florida Tech Gateway from day one, to take it as a regional approach so we could be stronger together than trying to do it separately.
I think you said it perfectly, David, but does anybody want to add to that sentiment there, or have anything else that they'd like to say?
Well, I want to say, I'm a great regionalist, and I had a great opportunity to serve as the chair of the South Florida Regional Planning Council. I had to step down when I became mayor, but we're so interconnected, the jobs, the education, the commutes, and obviously with the virtual, it's the lifestyle. South Florida has it. And so we need to bring it together for the benefit of relocation, but also for the people who are here, who already understand that we are a region.
Right.
Exactly.
And I'll just jump back in. I think there's 2 different pieces, right? What is your audience? So is it the local audience we look at that, there's two different audiences. There's a local audience here in South Florida, and then there's the outside the state market that we're trying to attract that talent and those companies from outside the area. And those markets, are recognized different things. Miami's going to have a stronger brand than Fort Lauderdale in China, somewhere else internationally. What does that look like? But obviously, when we did TechGateway, from our suggestion from our friends at the Beacon Council, putting Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and Palm Beach underneath South Florida TechGateway, why not leverage the power of all three of those brands of those cities?
Agreed. And it's funny because I was talking to somebody last week who was mentioning, hey, I've been here in, South Florida for years and years, and we used to call it the Tri-County area. But then again, when I was on the phone with somebody the week prior to that, when they said Tri-County, they were including the Keys, Miami, and Broward. So I think, that's why, at least for me and us as an organization, is learning the branding to be South Florida and the messaging around South Florida. Because like you said, David, I think that, most people from anywhere where they sit in the country, or even people internationally, that at least if you say South Florida, they can kind of point it out on a map. They kind of know where it is. But if it's, Tri-County or something similar to that, people don't know what that is. So I agree with your comment there, David. My next question was actually for Mayor Cava. As a rising tech hub here in South Florida, especially Miami, is attracting large companies and tech startups every day. What is being done to ensure that our local companies and talent are not being overlooked when it comes to resources? How are we focusing on the ones who are already here?
I'm going to say that when we say, my comments are not to imply anything negative towards the perception of Miami, because right now I think that the Miami brand is very hot, but I think the Miami brand is more than a city or county. I think it's a region. I think the Miami is just just a hot region right now, that this is what people are talking about all over the country. And I think it's important to play up on that. Like I said, I'll read a story about a big venture fund and a big hedge fund person moving into town, and it'll say he moved to Miami, but in the article, when you read it, it will say he actually moved to Hallandale Beach. So they're using the name Miami. I think we should all capitalize on that. I think what David Coddington said about us being stronger when we all work together is key. But I think that's just the thing we need to realize, that it's more than just the city boundaries in Miami. And one area where this popped up was in the SoftBank announcement last week, where SoftBank said they were going to put $100 million towards Miami startups. Believe it or not, they're limiting that just to the city of Miami or Miami-Dade County, which I think is short-sighted. And I've explained to people that if you have a great startup or tech idea, bring it to one of these VC funds. Just because you're not in Miami, even a company like SoftBank will come out and put the VC money at it. So I think it's important to just point that out.
Exactly. Yes. The area of Miami is so strong that, like you said, is everybody knows that name and knows, where that area is on a map. So yes, I think utilizing that name and keeping with that momentum is strong as a region as well. Mayor Cava, and I'm sorry, because I don't know if I cut out there, but earlier, because I wanted to ask the question of, what is being done to ensure that our local companies and talent are not being overlooked when it comes to resources. So I know that right now we're focusing so much on these big companies that are coming, but what about our local folks?
Yeah, I'm so glad to talk about that. As was said earlier, you said it, we have a long-standing history of tech in the region. And we also have some good pipeline programs. We definitely have local coding schools and apprenticeship programs, but we need to do even more. We need to double down and make sure that we have the talent pool locally. And I was talking to one of the top entrepreneurs in town now, who was saying that they are doing a lot of importation of talent. And I'm not against that, but we certainly want to make sure that our local talent is not overlooked. So we want to make sure that people can afford to live here, that our housing and our transportation systems work for people so that they can get to these jobs. We want to make sure that we're articulating with our job training, our relationships through the school system. We have one of the highest college graduation rates in the country, but that talent graduates and doesn't find jobs. So there's a mismatch that we have to put together, make sure that we are linking those things together. as well as I say, to provide everything that makes it possible for people to stay here. I'm creating an Office of Equity and Inclusion in my administration. I've been in office 2.5 months. We'll be rolling that out in the next few days. And a big part of that will be to make sure that those pipelines are strong, and that as we bring in new, that we lift up what is locally available, the creativity and the talent. And by the way, we've also spent a huge amount of money, thanks to the federal government, the CARES Act dollars, to support our local businesses, including tech. About $70 million of CARES Act funding directly went to local businesses, and will continue in my administration to support entrepreneurship that goes to minority, women-owned, and incubators to help them.
Yeah. And one thing I wanted to chime in here with too, and you hit the nail on the head about importing of talent. Something that David Coddington said was that, you know, IBM built their base in Boca Raton, and they brought so much talent to South Florida that provided a foundation of this generational step forward, where those people that came down to work at IBM then went to go work at Motorola and then went to work at this company, and they provided that insight to each single company they went to. But they did that over generations. So what we're really seeing here is so much of a generational approach, and so much work and time and effort has been going into everything that's now coming to even more fruition. And you know, that is so really amazing to hear and to see that we're all starting to realize that, and that is doubling down of sort. And you know, I think one thing here, and if it's okay, Nikki, I'd love to ask Mayor Singer the next question here, where many of the companies and the talent are coming from other areas now, including the Bay Area, including New York City, and they all have certain expectations of what they're looking for in our area. And you know, for the city of Boca Raton and the citizens that you serve, how do you feel like we can make it a clear collaboration to invest in the local communities as part of our mission, and show that to these companies that are looking to invest here in South Florida, so they can see when they're coming into town, they're going to be a part of a good community that's moving forward?
Well, thank you, Joe. And I think it's several things. First, the regional effort is so key, you know, and it's not just because Miami is hot as a brand, but, you know, I'm happy to stand at MIA when these executives, you know, finish up for their day with Francis Suarez touring around and say, get in the car, we're going to drive up to Boca for an hour and go look around, because we do have a perception problem just in Boca. Those who know Boca understand the brand, that we're not just retirees and in the world of Seinfeld and Del Boca Vista. We're a thriving community with young people, with 3 major universities. Well, 2 major universities, a smaller one as well, but who are thriving. That our core of innovation goes back to the IBM days that Joe mentioned. I'm seeing in the comments here that, oh yes, all these ex-IBM companies, ex-IBM people have formed these companies that are throughout the region. So it's part of that regional effort. We try a lot to support innovation directly. We partner with the Research Park at FAU, Tech Runway, which is a tech accelerator at FAU, and other groups. Office Depot, one of our corporate headquarters here, sponsors a hackathon. We participate with that. So there's a lot of ways to try to inject ourselves into the community and just propagate the word so it spreads spreads more. Another thing is just trying to, you know, talk more about our bio. We talk about the history. I did a bad job in not mentioning my personal bio, by the way. I'm a business lawyer by trade. I still practice, focused mostly on small businesses and entrepreneurs, and been serving for 7 years almost, 2.5 as mayor, 4 as a councilman before that.
Yeah, and thank you for that, Mayor Singer, because I also wanted to mention, you know, Boca for us has been such a strong partner. I mean, with just like you were mentioning, the universities, and with Brick located there, and there's so many other, you know, tech companies that are located in Boca and in that area or in that surrounding area. So, I mean, we even hold our annual hackathon every year at the Office Depot headquarters there. So we have a lot going on in Boca. So you guys have been great partners for us. And I know that, you know, Boca is really trying to be more of a tech city and be known as that. So I really, you know, thank you guys for all the efforts that you've made there as well. One of the questions I did want to ask, going back to the education piece, is, you know, right now, which we've got, I'm going to give her a shout out here, is we've got Sheila Van Hoos, that's part of the Southern group, on with us actually this morning. And one thing that I didn't know that she's kind of educated me on was, that I didn't realize we don't have AP or advanced placement computer science classes available in all of our school districts or all of our schools. So I did want to ask the question to the panel here, especially I'm going to actually ask this one of Vice Mayor Udine, is, I know that Broward County has been really the one that's been so forward thinking to have AP classes available in the district. But can you tell us what is the importance of, offering these AP classes, and also, how can we start getting this out to some of our Black and Brown communities and the lower income area codes? And how are we going to work on exposing, our children to STEM at an earlier age?
That's a great question. And the most important thing about this whole conversation, I think, is that this future has to be inclusive of everybody. Everybody has to be included and have the chance to participate in this kind of growth, or it won't be successful and it won't work out. And that means people of different, races and colors and socioeconomic background and disability, the disability community. There's a lot of things that can be done, in that regard. Also, we have to make sure that we're putting forward our best and brightest, because what people are saying to me when they call here, it may be perceived, it may be real, they think it's real, is the talent issue. They want to make sure that when they come here, they have the ability to get a deep pool of talent for their companies. And what we're seeing is the successes will build on each other. And as you have more and more companies here, it lures more and more talent. It keeps the local talent from leaving, because no one wants to be in, take some kind of position if then they ask, if they leave that for one way or another, if there's nowhere else for them to go. So as we build more clusters of talent here, I think that adds to the equation exponentially. One of the other things that founders are telling me is they need to make sure that what the schools are teaching are the type of skills that are necessary for the companies that are looking to hire those people. One of them said to me yesterday, one of the things which I found very interesting was that they want to see the people also come out with soft skills that are necessary to succeed in their companies. How do you send a proper email? How do you, deal directly with people and network? And this founder is a very fast growing startup company. They're nationally recognized, received all kinds of awards. She said she was having problems getting talented people to write proper emails. Everyone was just doing it by text and by message. So the education component is key. Matching the skills with what they're looking for by the employees. And I think South Florida is actually doing a good job of that. We just need to tell our story better, because in this, South Florida region, we're pumping out a lot of engineers. We're pumping out a lot of homegrown talent, and we have to make a better, connection with that story. And I think we're doing that.
Mm-hmm.
If I could chime in here, I'd
course.
like to point out that there have been some wonderful models of working in the area high schools, obviously younger is even better, to get particularly communities of color, women, people with different disabilities, like was mentioned, to be interested in engineering, and then to pull them into the engineering program at FIU. So there was an exact articulation program originally funded by the Kellogg Foundation that was very successful in helping to grow local talent, and especially people that wouldn't necessarily go that route. They don't have that background. How are they exposed to it? So we have to start early. We have to start early, engaging, creating excitement. I mean, there is, of course, a lot now that does go on with coding and robotics and different things that engage young people. But straight up engineering, which is what I understand is a big part of the talent pool needed.
Nikki, could I jump in on that, on the education piece?
Yes, of course.
So we have a steering committee for TechGateway, and they meet 3 times a year. And when we first started that, to get to that education piece, it was like, well, certainly we have to be in the universities. And then it was, well, we need to be in the high schools. And then to their credit, they said, no, we actually need to be into the middle schools. So we started 5 years ago. We met with Superintendent Runcie in Broward County to say, can you help us get this into the schools? We want to try and get those minds when they're young and realize and have them realize there's opportunity in tech and all different aspects. So we create Tech Gateway Day every year. And so every middle school in Broward County and every high school in Broward County gets a half dozen of those maps. They go into computer labs, the guidance offices, when they're thinking about where they want to go to school, what kind of career they may have. And not only do we provide the maps, but we also provide 8 to 10 speakers. And we've been doing this now. This will be our 5th or 6th year of doing it. It's been a goal of ours to have this throughout all of South Florida, have one day be Tech Gateway Day, and to provide 30 plus speakers across Miami, Broward, and Palm Beach. We finally had some conversations with the Palm Beach Public Schools to try and establish Tech Gateway Day this year. I'd love to be able to, Mayor Cava, if you could help us get that established in Miami-Dade, I think it would be amazing to have it throughout all South Florida. I'd welcome any help, Mayor Singer as well. If you could help us, help push that through in Palm Beach County schools, that would be great. So that's a way to really grab these minds at a young age and to have them, and it's across the spectrum with diversity. We have companies like an American Express are like, yeah, I want to go to this school. We would like to partner with them even more so. So it's a great opportunity for us in South Florida to grab the young minds and let them know there's opportunity across the spectrum and with diversity.
Thank you, David. Yeah, I was actually going to call on you to ask you about, explaining what was going on with that. So thank you. And organizations in South Florida like Refresh and Venture Cafe Miami, ourselves, Tech Gateway. I mean, there's so many great organizations that are trying to bring the exposure to the younger kids here. And I think it's really just getting everybody connected and making sure that everybody in our ecosystems knows who's who. Like for instance, I know we have a few of our Tech Talent and Education Committee folks on with us this morning. I've seen Todd and Sheila, but we actually have a committee that has a bunch of our higher education, the K through 12, even people like Junior Achievement and Career Source that are all a part of this committee that are trying to figure out how we can get, our education systems, like Vice Mayor Udine was talking about, the right courses and the right classes, into our schools, and also bringing education and exposure to the younger kids starting, elementary, middle school, high school, and how we can actually go about doing that. So anybody, that's listening here, that if you are involved in the education system here in South Florida and would like to get involved with us, please let us know. And of course, anybody here that wants to be used as a speaker as well, we're always looking for different speakers, like David was saying, for programs like Tech Gateway's Tech Gateway Day. I did want to go back to one sentiment here was about the diversity inclusion. And I want to gear this question towards Mayor Cava, is just because you were the one that brought it up earlier. So alongside the Black and Brown community, how are people of the neurodiverse community, the LGBTQ community, those with disabilities, the deaf and hard of hearing, like we have, Beth on with us this morning, how are they being included in this conversation? Can you tell us about some of the things with your committee that you're working on?
Yeah, thank you. So the good news is we're just getting started, and I'm a new mayor, and our Office of Equity and Inclusion is just rolling out and will include every possible kind of inclusion. The talent knows no bounds, and we want to be sure that there's opportunity to lift all boats. That is exactly what I'm going to be doing with this office. And we want to also cooperate with private sector. We've mentioned the university, and we have an approach that's going to be a think and action lab on the mayor's 29th floor. But as well, we want to partner with the nonprofit community, the groups that are advocates for these different sectors. And we're going to have an advisory group that will be reflective of all the different populations to be sure we get it right and to make sure that we are inclusive in our approach. And we're going to measure ourselves by how we succeed in that, how much we do bring in diverse communities to the table, not just how many jobs we generate, but who gets those jobs and who we're investing in, and making sure that it reflects the full glory and dynamism of our community.
Nikki, can you repin Beth? She's unpinned.
Yes, thank you, Todd. There we go. Thank you.
I'm sorry, if I could just add, because most people on this call probably don't know me. I have a background as a social service and advocacy leader, lawyer and social worker in background, but I started a nonprofit, the purpose of which was opportunity and inclusion in our economy and our education system. So I was elected with that mandate, and that is what I plan to get done as mayor.
Perfect. And I did want to, Mayor Singer, if you wanted to add to that question as well. I was actually curious, just, of course, we have, highly affluent areas all across South Florida, but Boca being, one of them. How is Boca also working on, including more people of the Black and Brown community, LGBT community, kind of the same thing, and especially our area codes of lower income. I know that even though Boca in general is a very affluent area, there's of course little pockets in there too, like most communities, where the kids and tech professionals aren't getting the same resources as others.
Well, thank you. It's all about partnerships. I mean, I think this call is emblematic of it. It is a regional effort because we draw talent in our companies from all over the region. We partner with the school district. We have a high-tech middle school. We've got Boca Elementary School, which is a Title II school with a lot of people below the poverty line, even in our school, or that qualify below that level. But they're a campus of excellence for technology, and the city helps further that. We partner with our universities. I mentioned FAU, I mentioned the Tech Runway and the Research Park, but Lynn University is also headquartered in Boca, or not headquartered, just is in Boca Raton. Several years ago, they were recognized for 2 areas of excellence nationally for diversity and innovation. So like Lynn's the tip of the spear there as well. We partner with different groups, through the school district as well. So, it's a variety of things. And also we created a couple of years ago an Office of Innovation. And it really wasn't just to innovate inside City Hall, but it was really externally an outward facing role. And so there have been a lot of partnerships that have emerged from there as well.
Very good. I'm glad you mentioned Lynn, because we actually have Monica Rojas on our team, is from Lynn as well. And yes, it's a very diverse school. So that is a very good example there. I did want to ask David the question of, because obviously Greater Fort Lauderdale Alliance and TechGateway, you guys are the outward recruiting, the outward branding arm, and kind of, our outward messaging to other areas across the state, other areas across the country. Can you tell us a little bit about how TechGateway is helping the messaging around South Florida's tech hub here, and all the benefits, of course, of living, working, playing here in the region? Tell us a little bit about how you're doing that.
Sure, thank you. So just going back for a second, but to how we're helping locally and outside of the market. We've been talking about the IBM PC, but South Florida's got so much more. Simon, the first smartphone, was invented here between Motorola, IBM, and Bell South. And so many spin-offs, or if it's not a direct spin-off from IBM and the folks that work there, then it's that that they're in. Citrix was Ed Yakuichi. When he started Citrix, that he was former IBM guy. You've got Ford Motor Plant, software engineering plant in Sunrise. So many former Motorola folks, Sirius XM, everything from the car to the satellite, all done, all that R&D done in Deerfield Beach in South Florida. So, there's so much more, and I can go on. But as far as the push, here locally in the brand. So when we took this on, 8-9 years ago, it was like, okay, we're South Florida, but what's the brand? And if you think of other areas around the country, they have a name. Silicon Valley obviously is the most popular and the most well known. But there's also other areas. If you're in tech, you may know Austin, Texas to San Antonio, that's Silicon Hills. If you were in Manhattan, that's Silicon Alley. But when we looked at South Florida, different efforts had started, but nothing really stuck. ICOAST had faded away. Their grant, it had expired. Did a great job, trying to push that and build the brand. And then when we came into it, I was like, well, we're competing against this other area, but what is the name? What's the nickname for the area? So we really wanted to, try and figure something out. And then some of the other folks from BlackBerry at the time, back before iPhone took over, when BlackBerry was ruling the world, it was like, well, aren't we a gateway to Latin America? And we're like, yeah. So then why don't we just put tech? We're also, a gateway for technology coming into the world. So if you think about how much technology has been created here, like Magic Leap and other things that are newer, you see that. So that's where that came from. And then it was just like, okay, South Florida, and then the work in the cloud, live in the sun, tagline came along with it. So that's where that, we figured we had to have some type of a name, brand, and build that out, and then have a tagline. And so then again, developing that brand here locally. What does that look like? And then outside the area. So through all the different efforts, and it's more than just a map. If you go on the website, all those logos are on there, and that's just a handful because there's thousands of technology companies in South Florida. And we are trying to update the Excel spreadsheet that we used to have on there, and so people can see how many technology companies are here. But the map, if you go on the map itself, what you see when I stop the video is a PDF version. But if you go on the website, every one of those logos are activated, so you know what that company does. So if you use Zendu, you're not going to know what that does. You go on and click into it, it'll tell you in 2 or 3 sentences what the company does, where they're located, how to contact them. And on top of that, there's a job posting. So we have links to partners like you guys at Palm Beach Tech and Tech Lauderdale, South Florida Technology Alliance, Refresh, Venture. This is the ones that you said, because partners in all the different regions across South Florida is what's going to make it happen. So building that brand here locally, that was a huge piece. And taking it outside of the area. So, talking about attracting companies as well as talent, really talent is just as important as the companies. So we took a year off with COVID, trying to figure out how to pivot. But in 2019, we went outside the market and we worked with the Business Journal in the DC market and the Boston market. And we're able to do a 2-month digital push, got over 1 million impressions for South Florida. And then also put 31,000 hard copies of the map in those business journals. And we're able to push that out. And the response we got back was great. And so they come on, but maybe they're looking for a job. Maybe they're looking to see what companies are. But the impression when people first see that is really powerful. And so they're like, wow, it's more than just whatever IBM used to be there. It's more than just a Citrix. It's more than just a modernizing medicine, or let's not forget about the companies that aren't necessarily seen as tech companies, but have large tech departments like a Ryder, like a Royal Caribbean, like an American Express, like a JM Family, got 200-300 people in Deerfield. So it's really, there's 4 different maps. We have all the universities of higher ed that teach IT curriculum. We have another one we're filling out in reference to recently funded companies or funded companies. We have companies that have large tech departments, and then we have the main one, the Tech Creator Map. But this year, we discussed it last week in the steering committee about going out into marketing it outside the area to San Francisco, New York. Obviously, we all know what's going on. And so let's leverage this point of COVID in a positive manner for us and see if we can help build that brand outside the market.
Yeah, that was a ton of great information, David. And thank you for all of that. And I just want to say that for anybody that doesn't have the map, please go ahead and just go to techgateway.com. I mean, it's or .org. I'm sorry, David. Yeah, .org, techgateway.org. I mean, you can see a ton of the great companies there, the universities, and it really gives you an idea of what's here. And like David said, of course, it's not everything, but I think that definitely starts to give you a real visual. And I know that I think I saw in the comments here that Maria, did you want to come on and say something really quick? Maria from Refresh.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. One thing I wanted to speak to Vice Mayor Udine's comment about Refresh and the articles, and completely hear you. We're actually working to kind of increase our news staff, both kind of from a diverse perspective and a regional perspective. So we actually are testing out a Palm Beach writer right now. And so we're actively looking for writers. So if anybody is passionate about tech and entrepreneurship and wants to write for Refresh on a kind of part-time occasional basis, would love to speak. And also I wanted to mention that, a lot of our organizations, Refresh in particular, has been doing this work for 15 years with no government assistance whatsoever and very little funding. So bear with us. And now that we have the spotlight, I really encourage the different cities to get involved and to kind of help support us from a financial perspective. A lot of us kind of do this just as a volunteer. So, we're trying and we're hoping that now that we have some more attention, that we can kind of get some more funding to support our work. So thank you all.
Thank you, Maria. Yes, and we, even with us at Tech Hub South Florida now, which I have to get used to saying that, we feature a lot of Refresh's articles. They do a wonderful job with news and kind of connecting our community, educating our community, getting the word out outside as well. So thank you so much, Maria, for that. And, this kind of takes me right into the next question, was because, even I'm sure a ton of you on the call probably saw one of the articles that was written by Nancy Dahlberg. She does a wonderful job, again, with a lot of her articles there. But it was basically an article all about Miami, like the Miami isms, the restaurants, schools. I mean, it mentioned everything. So for anybody that was looking to move to Miami, if you don't know the area, it was a perfect article for that. But even with that said, is that Broward was mentioned in there a handful of times. So that's part of why we're having this conversation, is that no matter if you read an article about Boca or City of West Palm or Fort Lauderdale or Holliday or Pompano or Miami, whatever it is, we always kind of have to include the areas around us. So I'm really glad to hear that you guys are going to be looking for a Palm Beach writer as well to kind of bring together the whole region. So thank you, Maria. My next question I wanted to ask Mayor Singer. So, and of course, any of you can add to this, is, how are our cities and municipalities partnering with research organizations, community-driven organizations such as our organization with Tech Hub South Florida, TechGateway, the Center for Black Innovation, Code for South. I mean, there's so many other great universities and organizations. How are you guys partnering with them? Since we're really the ones that are connected to, I guess, the community, for lack of better words, how are we all going to work together?
Well, I'll throw it back to you, because I would love your help in reaching out. Some of these groups I know well, others not as well. I mentioned what we're doing through our Office of Innovation, through our universities, Lynn, FAU, but it doesn't have to be directly through them or indirectly through them. It could be directly through us. The more we collaborate and communicate together, we're stronger for the region, and we increase the opportunities for all of us. That's why I'm so excited. This is just the most recent, I think, regional effort. Vice Mayor Udine, Mayor Trentalis, and Mayor Suarez and I had a conversation several weeks ago, the four of us, about what we're doing as a region. And I hope that this is just, I'm not as fast as the Vice Mayor is doing more of this than I am. I think he's better located, but I'm trying to do more of this across the board. So it's not just with different municipalities, it's in governments, it's also with all of these groups. So welcome your help.
Of course, no, and I actually love the honest answer there to say, hey, we could use some more help. And, that's kind of what you guys are trying to do. So I really appreciate that answer, actually. And I wanted to give Vice Mayor Udine, did you want to, add to that? Because I know, like Mayor Singer said, is you really have been one of the main people pushing this discussion. And I loved seeing the picture of all of you guys meeting on Twitter and at least opening up that discussion. So yeah, I would love to hear from you as well on that.
I think that it's been a labor of love for me, because this is something that I enjoy doing. And it's just to follow up on some of the other comments. I know David Coddington mentioned the TechGateway map that's available. Every time I put that TechGateway map on Twitter, and I put it on a lot because I use that as a response to a lot of the different questions, I'll usually get 4 or 5 messages. Hey, you left off my company. Hey, you left off my company. Hey, so, and I keep telling them they're updating this as they, on a day-by-day basis. I think that Refresh Miami, I think that they do an excellent job showcasing the area. I always like to share their stuff out. And it goes to the point of, the Miami, the branding of the Miami name is really helping in this area. I know one of the things that David also, some of our little taglines that we're using, live in the sun, work in the cloud, life less taxing, some of the things that they've come up with at the Greater Fort Lauderdale Alliance over the years are really resonating, especially now during, these times of pandemic where people can live anywhere and work anywhere. So my goal is to continue to working with everybody in the region, even on the little things that can grease the skids to make it easier for businesses to do business here. The Greater Fort Lauderdale Alliance has a permit program where they can do more, ease of use on getting permits when people want to build out their space. Even a little thing like that helps companies as they move forward. Broward County, the Alliance, Nova Southeastern University, we're opening up a tech innovation center that'll be open this summer. There are some big companies and people behind that. And this is to alleviate and help with the idea of getting people where they can have clusters of space where they can start their businesses and that they can hopefully scale up in a university setting environment, similar to what they do at the FAU Tech Gateway, which is, a fantastic a resource for small businesses. So I'm happy and I'm excited for what's going on in the region.
Hey, Nikki, just if I could, just
And
a quick
I'd
thing.
like to add.
Go ahead, Mayor Cava.
Okay, thank you.
Ladies first.
Thank you. I just want to add, since I'm and I'm also newer at this than the others, and I'm just excited, so excited to have this opportunity to connect across the region. Of course, we know the invitation that Mayor issued created a lot of buzz, and we're happy to all take advantage of the excitement, but we know that we're building on what's already here. And plus, I've been working on a plan with our economic development agency, the Beacon Council, to flesh that out so that we can have a real roll out the welcome wagon sort of a plan. So I'm excited about the ideas that I'm hearing from my colleagues in other parts of the region. And we will be looking forward to having a more robust role as Miami-Dade County, because after all, we've got, almost 3 million people and, a lot at stake and a lot of capacity. So we're definitely working to build out the kinds of things that everybody's talking about. And also the point that was made, there is so much already happening. And just to be really clear with the world, the infrastructure that exists. So I'm a person that is, collaboration is the middle name, and it's all about making sure that we know what's already there, that we build upon it and support each other.
Nikki, I was just going to jump in and say, one of the points, thank you to the mayors for joining us, because if you read the articles and just in the companies that we talk to, how this South Florida has been so welcoming, and from the governmental side and from your representation about companies coming into the area. And we talked to companies. I talked to a company out of New York yesterday. We had another meeting, and it's almost hostile, against them. And so they want to go to a place that is welcome to business and a great community and a wonderful lifestyle. So thank you all to all the mayors that are making that. And Vice Mayor Udine, thank you so much for being a great supporter of the Alliance and TechGateway. And one last thing. On WLRN, one of the things I forgot to mention is that you may be hearing commercials. So we're doing radio spots about TechGateway and about South Florida as a whole, about what a great opportunity it is to be down here. So, but thank you for making it a welcome community, and everybody that has taken time to have all these different organizations like Refresh and Palm Beach Tech and all the other ones, Tech Lauderdale, SFTA. So thank you. It really makes a difference when we're trying to recruit companies and talent.
Yes, thank you so much, David. And that was actually the perfect comment to kind of close us out here. I know we've got just about 2 minutes left. So I know that Joe, you wanted to say something here to close us out.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you, Nikki, for pulling this event together behind the scenes and getting everybody to the table. For those that don't know, Nikki's our vice president here, and we have Monica on the call, who's our member and inclusion specialist, and they do such a wonderful job working with our members and the community every single day to bring people together and really move our tech community and our tech industry forward. And we wouldn't be able to really be Tech Hub South Florida without them. And as I believe David put it best, we've been the Tech Hub for a while, but we are constantly building upon that. I really appreciate all of the mayors for joining us here today. And I hope this is one of many conversations. And to Vice Mayor Udine's comment, I think we talked about a few tweets, but I know you put together a lunch that with a few mayors that got a lot of traction on Twitter too. So I'm hopeful that more of those conversations can happen, and the leaders of our South Florida cities and counties can be working together on this throughout this next year. So thank you so much for everybody for being here.
Thank you, Joe. And I saw somewhere in the comments, somebody, and I apologize because I would give you credit for the statement, but I saw in there somebody had written culture eats strategy for lunch. That was the best statement ever in the chat. So thank you for that, because part of this conversation is bringing everybody together and starting to build a real culture around tech and around startups and just our community. And so for anybody, because I've seen a lot of comments here in chat, if anybody wants to be included in anything that we're doing, wants to get connected to anybody here on the call, has questions about how to get involved, I'm hoping that I get 1 million emails right now. I would be more than happy to take those. My email is nikki@palmbeachtech.org. I'm more than happy to connect you if you'd like to get more involved with our community. But again, thank you to everybody, all of our panelists, the mayors, David, Joe, and of course, Beth. Thank you for all the ASL interpretation this morning to allow us to be a little bit more inclusive day by day. And thank you everybody for showing this morning bright and early at 8 a.m. So that is my cue. I just see 9 a.m. pop up on my laptop. So everybody have a wonderful day, and hopefully we'll see you guys again soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.